Robert Downey Jr. His childhood was far from ordinary. Born into the glitz and chaos of Hollywood, he was the son of Robert Downey Sr., an eccentric filmmaker known for his avant-garde movies. While many children grew up in the protective bubble of family, Robert's early life was anything but sheltered. His father's world was creative, experimental, and often turbulent, and unfortunately, it included heavy drug use. By the age of 6, Robert had his first encounter with marijuana, introduced to him by his own father. In Robert Sr.'s unconventional view, sharing drugs with his young son was an expression of love, a strange but formative bond. For a child, these experiences were confusing. The line between normalcy and danger was already blurred. Growing up surrounded by this environment, Robert quickly became exposed to a lifestyle of excess and experimentation. What might have been innocent curiosity soon evolved into a prolonged struggle. That early introduction marked the beginning of what would become a 30-year battle with substance abuse, an uphill fight that would shadow his life and career for decades. The seeds of creativity and talent were also planted early. Living in a world where the boundaries between art, life, and addiction were intertwined, Robert developed a fearless approach to performance. He could slip into complex characters with a depth that belied his age, perhaps in part due to the early exposure to life's darker realities. Yet, the story of Robert Downey Jr. is not merely one of early hardship. It is the prelude to an incredible journey of downfall, and ultimately, redemption, a journey that would redefine him as one of Hollywood's most resilient and celebrated actors. By the 1980s, Robert Downey Jr. was stepping into the spotlight of Hollywood. With talent in his genes and a fearless approach to acting, he quickly began to draw attention. His breakout role came in 1987 with Less Than Zero, where he portrayed a young man trapped in the dark grip of cocaine addiction. Critics were blown away by his performance. His portrayal was raw, convincing, and deeply unsettling. But life has a cruel way of imitating art. The line between his on-screen roles and real life began to blur, while audiences saw him embody the struggles of a drug addict with remarkable skill behind the camera. Robert himself started succumbing to the very demons he was portraying. What began as experimentation spiraled into a dangerous dependency on cocaine and heroin. By immersing himself so fully in the roles he played, he inadvertently walked into the shadows of addiction. The same charm, intelligence, and intensity that made him a rising star also fed his vulnerabilities. Hollywood's bright lights masked a growing storm, and soon, Downey's career and personal life became intertwined with drugs, a struggle that would define much of the next 2 decades. Despite the early acclaim, this period marked the beginning of a tumultuous chapter, one where fame and addiction clashed violently. Robert Downey Jr. had entered the Hollywood elite, but he was also entering a relentless battle with substances that threatened to derail everything he had worked for. By the mid-1990s, Robert Downey Jr.'s life had become a whirlwind of legal troubles, largely fueled by his ongoing battle with addiction. Multiple arrests marked this turbulent period, as the law repeatedly intervened in a life spiraling out of control. Each arrest was a stark reminder of how deeply drugs had entrenched themselves into both his personal and professional life. The climax of this legal nightmare came in 1999. After failing a mandatory drug test, Robert was sentenced to 3 years in prison. For a man whose career had shone so brightly on the silver screen, the harsh reality of incarceration was a brutal awakening. Behind the cold, unfeeling walls of the prison, he faced the consequences of years of substance abuse. Prison life was far from glamorous. Robert, once a Hollywood icon, spent his days doing the most mundane tasks, washing dishes like any other inmate, following strict routines, and confronting the monotony and isolation of confinement. Yet, even in these humbling conditions, there was a flicker of introspection. Stripped of fame, surrounded by the realities of incarceration, he had to confront the choices that had led him there. It was a period of reckoning, a forced pause that, while painful, would eventually lay the groundwork for the most remarkable comeback in Hollywood history. Even as he scrubbed dishes behind bars, the seeds of redemption were quietly taking root. In 2003, Robert Downey Jr. life reached a pivotal crossroads. After years of struggling with addiction, arrests, and public scrutiny, a new chapter began when he met producer Susan Levin. Susan was not just another romantic interest. She became a catalyst for profound change. Susan laid down a clear and uncompromising condition. For their relationship to work, Robert had to completely turn his life around and leave drugs behind. It was a challenge that demanded courage, commitment, and an unwavering desire to reclaim his life from decades of self-destruction. In July of that year, Robert made a decisive choice. Symbolically and literally, he threw his remaining drugs into the ocean, vowing to embrace sobriety and a life free from the chains of addiction. It was a moment of rebirth, a conscious, resolute step toward healing, stability, and personal growth. This transformation wasn't merely about quitting drugs. It was about reclaiming his identity, his career, and his dignity. With Susan by his side, Robert found the support and accountability he had long needed, marking the start of the most inspiring chapter in his life. A journey from the brink of collapse to the heights of Hollywood resurgence. In 2008, Robert Downey Jr. achieved a career-defining moment that would not only resurrect his Hollywood journey, but also cement his status as a global superstar. He took on the role of Tony Stark in Iron Man, a character that perfectly mirrored his own charisma, wit, and complexity. The film's unprecedented success marked a royal comeback for an actor who had once been at the mercy of addiction and legal battles. Through Tony Stark, Robert became more than just an actor. He became an icon. The portrayal resonated with audiences worldwide, and his infectious charm and nuanced performance elevated Iron Man into a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't long before Downey emerged as one of the highest-paid actors in the world, commanding staggering earnings. Between the various Marvel Cinematic Universe films, he amassed an estimated $600 million, redefining what it meant to achieve financial and professional redemption in Hollywood. Beyond the numbers, the significance of this phase of his career lay in the narrative of transformation. Robert had turned personal tragedy into triumph. The man who had once been a symbol of struggle and public scrutiny now stood as a beacon of resilience, professionalism, and unparalleled talent. Through Iron Man and the MCU, he didn't just entertain the world, he inspired it, showing that even after decades of chaos, reinvention and greatness were always possible. In 2024, Robert Downey Jr. added yet another remarkable achievement to his legendary career. For his portrayal of Lewis Strauss in Oppenheimer, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, a crowning moment that highlighted both his enduring talent and his remarkable journey of resilience. From a life once overshadowed by addiction and legal turmoil, he had now reached the pinnacle of cinematic recognition. Today, at 60 years old, Robert enjoys more than 2 decades of sobriety, a testament to his determination, discipline, and the support of loved ones. Away from the glare of the Hollywood spotlight, he cherishes a quiet, fulfilling life with his family, embracing the peace and stability that had once seemed unattainable. His story is more than just one of fame and fortune. It is the story of a man who overcame decades of personal struggles to rediscover purpose, passion, and balance. Robert Downey Jr. stands as a symbol of hope, a living proof that even after years of chaos and self-destruction, redemption, achievement, and happiness are always possible. From the depths of addiction to the heights of Hollywood glory, Robert Downey Jr.'s story reminds us that no matter how dark the path, redemption is always possible. If his journey inspired you, hit that subscribe button and join us for more incredible stories of triumph, struggle, and hope.